Let's stay in the East African region, by the way, where Kenya's Institute of Public Finance has released a snapshot of the country's recent macro-fiscal analytics. Now, that report highlights what key macro-fiscal policies are and how they have impacted fiscal governance and the different sectors of the Kenyan economy. Here is an excerpt from a review of the report by the Controller of Budget for Kenya.
As the Controller of Budgets, I appreciate the independent, rigorous analysis that I've seen in this publication. While the findings and the views expressed in this report are those of the Institute of Public Finance, many of the conclusions resonate strongly with what we, at the Office of the Controller of Budget, frequently observe through our constitutional mandate to oversee budget implementation at the national and county levels. This report, therefore, serves as a powerful complement, deepening public understanding of how macrofiscal choices translate into tangible outcomes for the citizens. The snapshot that we have here reminds us that Kenya's economy remains relatively resilient. The medium-term growth is projected at about 5%, supported by agriculture, easing inflation, improved macroeconomic stability, and other aspects around that. However, the central message of this report is that the stability has not translated into shared prosperity. That came out very clear. For many Kenyans, recent years of macroeconomic stability have coincided with the following. They have seen higher costs of living. They have seen declining real wages, and we saw that in the presentations that went before me. We have also seen insecure and informal employment. We have seen reduced access to quality public services. So even as the inflation eased, as food prices remain elevated, and the household purchasing power remains constrained, how then do we say we are going to Singapore? Poverty remains unacceptably high, and its decline is slow. Growth, when positive, is not inclusive. From the perspective of the Control of Budget, this disconnect matters a lot because it raises fundamental questions. We ask, are public resources being deployed to improve citizens' lived realities? And that, indeed, is a question we must answer. Budgets are the most concrete expression of policy intent. Yet, budgets only matter if they are credible, if they are implemented as approved, and translate into services. The Institute of Public Finance Analysis highlights a fiscal structure that has become increasingly rigid. Rising debt interest payments and public sector wages now dominate our expenditure, leaving a shrinking fiscal space for people-centered services. We have seen that from the presentations. This reality is clearly reflected in all key sectors. In health, we saw the continued experience in declining per capita spending, even as population growth, disease burden, and loss of donor support increased the pressure on the system. In education, while absorbing a large share of the budget, we saw quality and equity challenges due to constrained non-wage investments. In water, sanitation and hygiene, the WASH that we just saw, spending remains inconsistent and uneven, reinforcing regional disparities. Further, in social protection, we saw programs suffering from delayed disbursements and declining effectiveness, reducing the ability to cushion the most vulnerable. In women and youth programs, there is poor ring fencing, and these are among the first to be reduced whenever there is fiscal tightening. And we have seen this in real life. So as control of budget, I repeatedly observe this under disbursement and under execution, not just in the low allocations. I also witness the weakened service delivery outcomes, particularly of the vulnerable populations. When we look at our Constitution, it is very clear. Public finance shall be exercised in a manner that promotes equity, inclusiveness, and the realization of economic and social rights. What this means is that effectiveness matters as much as allocation. The snapshot highlights the persistent weaknesses that have undermined the effectiveness.